up, guys? So, by popular demand, I had to dig out my headphones and my mic here. So, as you guys probably know, I've kind of been MIA for a bit. Got a little bored with the game, so took a break. Just, I would say fairly recently got back into it for whatever reason. Back in June here. So, since I've been back, a few things I've been tweaking on this map has recently made this visible boundary here. This is using a pretty simple method, really, Blender for real DEM terrain. Essentially what you do is you take a picture of the DEM terrain. The Blender uses the contrast between the colors and it essentially extrudes a shape using the contrast in colors. So it's not the most accurate thing, but it's pretty darn close, and kind of gives you a little bit better appreciation, so you're not looking into the black abyss when you're playing on the edge of the map like we are currently. So right now, we're playing on a farm that in this map, I think it's, I believe it's called like Truck Brook Farms, and they own, if you look at the plat book, you know, a couple hundred acres, it's around 500-600 acres, in this county at least, next to the farm that's in trust, so. I still have a saved game from the Deere that we're running. I might go back and play some of that. But for now, I kind of wanted to run some larger equipment. It's kind of what I've been taking some time off from some of the big time operation. So that'd be kind of fun to get back in and play a larger equipment for a bit. It's kind of tradition, as is tradition, when Giants announces the new game that's coming out in the next couple of months, you know, typically it will probably come out this October, the FS19. Things tend to die down. A lot of people kind of stop releasing stuff, or I wouldn't say stop working on things, but definitely kind of lose interest in the current version. And then once the next version gets close to coming out, they kind of ramp ramp things back up. But I think now is a good time, if any, especially when it comes to making maps, especially maps that aren't your traditional standard size, your 4x, 16x maps, because a lot of the times when they're releasing the game, that the editor that they have doesn't support maps of this size. So that was kind of the case with this particular map that I'm working on right now. Towards the end of 15, when I started it, it really took 6 months for Giants to answer a simple question I posted in their Giants developer network threads, and that was to how to get this map to get supported in Giants editor, so it wouldn't stop disappearing. So it would stop disappearing. You know, of course, it's a simple script. For whatever reason, it took them 6 months to get back to me and a few others that were, you know, following that thread. So 6 months, you know, that sets you back, especially when you're kind of real motivated and fired up to work on projects. That was a bit of a buzzkill in itself, but when you put that kind of a constraint, it makes you focus on other things such as, you know, equipment mods. Well, we're on the subject of talking about FS19. I feel like it really won't be significantly different than this. It'll probably be significantly worse, to be honest. Especially now that 17 has mods like soil management and seasons. It's gonna take a long ass time for 19 to even get remotely to this level, and then obviously to improve upon it. Generally, when they release a version of the game every 2 years, you know, that 2 years isn't enough for any kind of significant improvements. Usually you'll see the improvement at the 4-year mark or a little bit after that. Based on the pictures, it looks like the textures are the same, the number block system is the same, so no more dynamic terrain. I have to wait for that. They kind of make improvements pretty slow. Anyways, I'll be flying back to this part of the country fairly soon, so I plan on getting some pictures, you know, putzing around and getting some pictures of these areas that I've been struggling with, that Google Earth and Google Maps don't really provide a good street view. So some areas that I'm real stuck on that need some assistance with actual real life pictures. So slightly excited about that. I'm pretty perplexed as to why this RX tractor has the slippage, you know, 28% plus slippage when the wheeled version slips about 4%. So I'm not sure what's going on with this tractor. I'm a fan of tracks, but when it's performing this poorly, it's kind of hard to keep it around. that made this season's mod is actually working at Giants now, so perhaps we'll see some of this season script incorporated into the core game itself, which would be great. So sadly, in real life, this is I would say this is the largest crop farm operation on this side of the river. This is a 16 or 18. I think it's a 16 square kilometer area, and the total playable version of this map. So on the Wisconsin side, this is actually the largest grain farm operation, which to most grain farm operations this is not big at all. And then there's on the Minnesota side, there's a little bit farm that's a little bit larger, about probably 50-60% larger than this, which again depends on where you're from if that's big or not. This area is pretty much overrun by small medium-sized dairy farms. I'm sure these guys that farm this trout farm, they probably rent a lot of acres. Anyways, to the right is a golf course. Or golf course. I think it's like Crooked Creek or something like that. There is a dilemma currently with this map being, built off of satellite images and the real digital elevation mapping. There's actually no place to sell grain. There is a decent elevator in Baldwin, which is a couple, probably 30 minutes away from here on the Wisconsin side, that I'll probably end up having to get creative. I'll probably use that as a model and put it somewhere on this map. So although it's a 16x map, it's only going to have one grain sell point. Something that I never really understood, and it has kind of always bothered me, is when maps, including my old map Winchester, when they have multiple sell points. It's, I don't really think that's necessary. It's pretty unrealistic. watch Welker Farms on YouTube? No, actually. To be honest, haven't even heard of them. I used to watch like how farms work and like, let's see how that guy. Mushroom hay farmer. I forget his name. I used to watch those guys. Don't really watch them anymore. Right now, I pretty much just watch the MN Millennial Farmer. Just because the guy's pretty hilarious. It's pretty informative. Does a good job. And then obviously the big tractor power, and I think it's those videos that kind of got me back into farming simulator. Is, you know, during the winter it's kind of quiet, no one's doing much, it's kind of boring, and then you can see all these videos of the equipment working in the fields. Gets you back into it. It's been since I watched those videos. You know, his videos used to be pretty decent, but now they've kind of just turned into rant sessions. I feel like, I mean, I haven't watched them in a while. Maybe they've changed, but it's kind of what made me lose interest in his channel. Every video he was posting is, you know, he's whining and bitching about something. Which, you know, it's great. He can do that, but... One thing I would find very helpful is if Giants released like some kind of modding tutorials on writing LUA scripts, because they reference some very generic, vague, LUA material, but it's not really applicable to how, you know, it's not very tailored to Giants, because Giants has its own very unique way of writing scripts. So, and it's very confusing because they pretty much changed a significant part of their LUA scripts 17 from 15, and I'm sure from, you know, 13 to 15 as well. So once you think you're kind of getting a grasp on things, that completely go ahead and change the way they write their scripts. Is where this game really opens up. Is when you can learn how to code, write code. Otherwise, you're kind of restricted to the Giants' constraints. tires. Do I think John Deere will be part of Farming Simulator? Yeah, I mean, obviously. I definitely think they're aware that they kind of missed the boat on this, and when they do become part of Farming Simulator, they're definitely going to be behind. I was watching just a video today about the new some of the new discs John Deere makes. You know, people are commenting, you know, you guys should give up your license for Farming Simulator, blah blah blah, and you know, the official John Deere channel replies, you know, they're looking into that opportunity. And Giants actually released kind of an in-depth review of the whole company and the process, and when they go to these large farming conventions, and if you listen to the you know, the marketing managers, or you know, the big wigs for these agriculture companies, you know, like KSIH and New Holland and whatnot, they always, you know, the rep from New Holland himself said, you know, when they got into Farming Simulator, you know, which, you know, was just recently, you know, 2 years ago essentially, they felt that they were already behind the curve because, you know, their parent or their, you know, sister company or whatever you want to call it, Case was already in there, you know, with other brands. So I definitely think John Deere will pull the trigger, and we'll see John Deere, whether it's in this next version or the version after, because, you know, right now they're the only ones that are pretty much out of it. I mean, you just had Challenger introduced as like a primary sponsor in this version. Then you have all these add-ons. So I definitely think it's going to happen. I mean, if you've looked at any John Deere's video games, they're complete trash. And I think they're missing a huge opportunity. But you know how these brands are. They're so competitive on all. You know, whether it's in real life or it's in a virtual life, you know, they always want to capture that market share, right? So it would only make sense for them to get involved. I could also see the other side of, you know, this game has quite a bit of issues, pretty unrealistic, where, you know, maybe they're like, maybe step your game up a bit to something that's acceptable, which is kind of ironic because all their games are pretty much trash. But in my opinion, I'm sure in many other people's opinions, by not being in the game, even in its current state, even with all of its issues and shortfalls, I definitely think you're missing out and you're already behind by not being in it. But, you know, as you can see, the rig I'm using right now, you know, we do pretty good without John Deere officially being a sponsor. You know, with the John Deere discussion aside, I think there's a lot of other aspects of farming that they could focus on. They've kind of been doing this geographical, different variety of farming, things like the Russian farming, the Titan add-on, and then the Platinum with like the sugar cane in the Brazil, and they're kind of focusing on different regions of agriculture with each version and each DLC to get people exposed to different areas of agriculture, which I think is great. There's kind of an educational component to that, but there's also a significant play value to that. You know, people that live in one area of the world want to farm like another area of the world, and so on. But they could definitely focus on things like, you know, if we were to go out to like Idaho or the Dakotas or something like that, where they focus on potatoes or sugar beets. That's really an untapped market in this game. They really haven't touched much on that. The equipment they have been using has been more of a European based. With the Big Bud expansion, I feel like they've kind of covered a lot of different areas with that. You know, the central to western part of the U.S. and Canada with the large air seeder. But they can definitely improve on that. You know, there's crops out there like strawberries, there's rice, you know, very different, unique styles of farming that they haven't tried to touch yet. I mean, it took us how many years to just get sunflower and soybeans into this game. So apart from the crop farming and the different styles of crop farming, there's also different, you know, livestock. You know, they don't have beef. They have pig, but no beef. And beef is such a huge industry. And when it comes to animals like dairy farming, it's pretty simple. Where the real life aspect of dairy farming is much different than it is portrayed in this game. So there's a lot of improvements they can improve on that. In terms of crop farming, there's no mention of your fungicides or pesticides or anything like that, which all farmers know is a huge battle, and it's a huge expense, and it's a huge headache that you need to control. So getting away from the equipment discussion, there's parts of the simulator part of Farming Simulator that really need to be added and improved upon to really increase the simulation of actual farming. I mean, it's 2018. You look at other simulator games out there, or just not even other simulators, just other video games in general, and you see the attention to detail and the enhanced graphics. And you know, this game itself is just so far behind all those other games. But it's still fun. It's got a very sandbox feel to it. You can make whatever you want. You know, you got those weird people that do like fire rescues. I mean, I'm not to the point where I need to play make-believe fire game lets you do that. Something that would be fun and pretty simple to implement would be like contracting. Contracting with your local sell point. You know, we're gonna give you X amount of money for, you know, this much grain, and if they incorporate a different, you know, there's good years, bad years. Like there's more variability in your yield. I think that would kind of make the game a little bit more fun, a little bit more challenging. I'm not entirely sure what kind of age demographic they're kind of gearing this game towards, because I feel like people from, you know, 8 years old up to, you know, who knows, 60-year-old play this game. So it's such a large demographic of players that play this game that I can see it being a challenge to appeasing everyone. Did it stop? Did I kill it? No, we just listened to that one. I'd like to play country music, but you know, the thing with the country music is literally everything that you can stream is they're gonna slap you with a royalty infringement, copyright infringement. So which is annoying. So. Yeah, I'm sure by the time I'm about to retire, this game will probably be pretty decent. You know, so 30 years from now. What the hell? There's like 2 musics playing. You know, honestly, I liked FS13 better than this game. The only improvement in this is the lights. You know, if 13 had the light shader that this game had, I honestly, it would have been a better game. Just the mods that were with it and everything like that. 13 with mods, and if you were to add the light shader, the new light engine in it would be better than 15 and would be better than 17 and probably would have been better than 19, but I guess we'll see. Any improvements they make in 19 won't be very dramatic. It'll probably be minor at best. It's definitely not going to be, you know, game changing. I can see that maybe happening in the next version. You know, I don't even know how many people are working at Giants. I think when it first developed, there was only two. You know, the two founders that were kind of doing everything. And now I'm sure it's a pretty, you know, the team has since grown. If you think of the amount of money this company probably makes. So it's kind of where Cattles and Crops is right now. I think that was a team. I think it's more than two people, but it's still, you know, probably a handful of guys that are trying to get that game developed and out them around, which is great. Every day they work on it, it's going to improve. And that game right off the bat is getting a more focus towards realism. I mean, they already have that kind of dynamic planes, and you know, these are the guys that developed Courseplay. So, you know, the hired worker in this game is slightly retarded compared to the hired worker in that game. So right off the bat, they're already kind of leaps and bounds ahead of where Farming Simulator was when it first started. You know, with more time, more money, and more people working on it, I definitely think that game will capture quite a bit of market share here. That track is spinning faster than that track, so I think we have an issue here. Can't quite see my back tracks. But this track seems to be going faster than this track. Am I right? No? Yeah, I think I'm right. That one's definitely going faster than. Yeah, so we have an issue here. Maybe we should try calling Tri-County Implement to get them over here and figure out what the fuck's wrong with our RX. I think that's why we have a wheel slippage issue here. Track slippage. You know, next time I pull this this ripper, I'm gonna put it on the wheel machine. So we're burning 172 liters an hour, 28% slippage. Impressive. You know, I'd go get a quad track, but I don't think there's a Case IH dealer within 100 miles of here, so Kind of out of luck with that. There is a New Holland dealer in Baldwin, which from this location would be about 30-35 miles. So that's doable. You can go get a blue machine. Same thing as a quad track. No, I mean, I didn't know there was a dealer up in St. Croix Falls. I haven't been up there in a while. Can't be a very big one. Did I build an NRX? No, I did not. Downloaded it. No, that one's definitely spinning a lot faster. I'm going to the XML here and figure out what's messed up. No, I believe this is the Turbo Squid model that Spotted released. And, you know, if you go on Turbo Squid, you actually can't buy this model anymore. I guess the guy that modeled it up took it down. He also put a John Deere sprayer up. It's no longer a John Deere, it's some kind of weird lime green thing. So he must have gotten hit by some copyright infringement selling John Deere. Which is a shame. You know, the models were pretty pricey, but great modeling, and I'm pretty sure they did the UV mapping. I mean, they didn't copy over the UV mapping. They did the textures on this one. Once I get to the end of this path, I'll probably switch to the other tractor. Do some disking instead. I'd actually be interested in seeing how many people that, you know, follow my channel and whatnot actually live in or near Osceola. Like I said earlier in the stream, I'm going to be going back there pretty soon and taking pictures of areas that I'm currently working on that I'm struggling with because I can't get a good picture, you know, in terms of buildings and barns and stuff like that. maybe those that live around the area can shoot me some pictures later on when I'm stuck once again. Oh, interesting. I actually grew up north of Star Prairie. Went to Amory. Star Prairie must have been over by the Cedar Lake area. Do I think I'll ever farm this entire map? I do. I definitely do think I'll farm every area of this map. Will I farm the whole map at once? No. My strategy to kind of building this is I'm kind of building the area that I'm playing, and then by the time I'm sick of playing in that area and looking at the same scenery, I kind of move on to a new area. So that's kind of why I'm playing over here, is because I got kind of sick of working on the small area in by that farm. Now I'm over here. Rest in peace, you went to Amory. You know, we say the same thing about Osceola and Richmond. I think I did alright for growing up in a small rural Wisconsin. Significantly better than most. So that also means I'm going to have to kind of putt on over to the Minnesota side and take some pictures too. So there goes nothing. So, someone the other day was asking how big this disc was. I had to look it up again because I forgot. This is a 50-foot disc. For some reason I thought it was, oh shit. When you don't load the GPS. For some reason I thought it was a 55-foot disc. Which, you know, I knew wasn't right. I'm not safe. And then there's a smaller disc, a 30-foot, that comes with it. Wow, 0.2% slippage. This thing pulls pretty easy. So, I'm not quite sure how big this field. It was 60 some. It was like 60 point something hectares, maybe 65. I'm not sure what that converts to acres. Like maybe close to 140, 150, 150 acres or something like that. 1 hectare is like 2.3 or 2.5 acres. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. Everyone else in the world uses a metric except for the United States, I swear. It's confusing. So I think the last time I was down in Richmond was over this past, winter during Christmas, and I saw that they had a 9570R there. I'm pretty sure they lease it. There's no farm in the area that's big enough to actually own a piece of equipment like that. Unless they're doing tillage for a couple farmers, which, who knows, maybe that's the case. But that was the biggest tractor I've seen there in a while. They had some S-Series combines, 680. I don't think they had a 690, but they had a 670, 680 there. Yeah. So this is it's a big field. It's a huge field in terms of farming simulator. Field 12, which is down the road here, I forget, that's like 280 acres or something like that. Alex, who owns the 9570? I don't know any farmers around the area that really own enough acres to justify a tractor. I know in the Star Prairie area, some of the local farmers that I know personally, or I should say our family knows personally, they hire out a lot of their tillage and their combine work, and I think some of them actually just pretty much quit farming. One guy has the grain bin, so he stores and dries a lot of grain. I don't think he does any farming anymore. He just pretty much rents the ground and stores the grain, so it's kind of not real sure how a lot of the farmers do it anymore, because it seems like everyone does something different. It kind of seems like one guy owns a combine and combines for a couple guys. One guy owns a big planter, plants for a couple guys, and one guy owns the tillage equipment, and the guy that does the planting and tillage are probably the same guy. No one could really afford to own all aspects, all the equipment, just because they don't have the acreage. So 150 acres, you could till this field in no time with a 50-foot disc. Now the thing about a 9570R is, one, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than a 9620R, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper than any kind of 95.7 RX. So, you know, these wheel machines, they're just, honestly, they're just as good, if not maybe better than a track machine. You're gonna spend what, an extra 60, 70,000 to get the tracks. And it's gonna cost you probably 10 grand per track to replace it, especially if you're doing a lot of roading. So if I was like an actual farmer looking at the, you know, it from a logical point of view, I would probably go with the wheels over a track machine. However, this area, the soil's pretty heavy, it's pretty wet, so maybe a track machine would make sense to justify the cost. You just don't have the acreage to pay for itself. Comment about tilling 150 acres in no time. I take that back. We're still a long ways to go. $12 miles an hour in this tractor would probably be bumpy as hell. Although this new generation of wheel tractor is supposed to have a kind of a smart suspension system with it that reduces that power hop. Couldn't tell you, never been in this one or the last generation or the generation before that, so couldn't tell you one way or another. I find it pretty hilarious when equipment manufacturers have customers do testimonials. Like, obviously it's biased as hell. You know, it's pretty much pointless, but you know, whatever. They're always going to keep doing that stuff. But from a non-biased, independent point of view, it's irrelevant information. Paid and bought sponsorship, essentially. You don't see that with all the manufacturers. You pretty much only see it with John Deere and Case. It's like a huge cockfight over who's best. Crystal Ball Farms. I can't say I've heard of it. Wait, Crystal Ball Farms, isn't that north of Osceola? I do know of crystal ball farms. My cousin, he works at JNS, or I don't know if he's one of the co-owners now. But they were just doing some excavating or some work at Crystal Ball Organics. Doing some excavating work up there. Like a barn or something. So yeah. I don't know them personally, but I'm familiar with who they are. There's also a farm north of Osceola that it's like a sheep farm, but they do like genetic engineering. I forget what it's called. It's like a co-management. Yeah, I mean, for me, I would find doing custom tillage work and stuff a bit risky, right? But maybe it's not that high a risk, because who else is gonna, you know, spend the capital and buy that equipment? Well, you're pretty much relying on repeat business and I'm not real sure how it all works, but you'd have to get that contract written, signed before you purchase the machinery. Otherwise, you know, when the bills come in the mail, how are you going to pay for it? Yeah, crystal ball. Yeah, I remember. I remember seeing pictures on my cousin put on Facebook of JNS doing some work there. Never heard of it prior to that. So Alex, you might know the Johnsons, Hans Johnson. They have a dairy farm near Sharp Prairie, north of it, kind of northwest. They have Holsteins and pigs. I went to church. We were in the same, grew up in the same at the same time, so played football together. Went to church together. They have a pretty decent operation for dairy and swine. Manitoba, Canada. You know, if you want to get a big Manitoba buck, whitetail buck deer, you go to Manitoba. really been big up there. You know, some of the best fishing is up near there, and then Lake of the Woods. We used to fly in on pontoon plane up to Lake of the Woods, go fishing up for Norland and walleye for 2 weeks, and literally every time you throw your line out there, you catch something. After 2 weeks, you're pretty much sick of fishing. It's great. I mean, you'd see like loon, you'd see caribou, catch a 14-pound walleye, no joke. And go up there, just play cards, smoke cigars. You'd have to have GPS. We'd have these little aluminum craft 14-footers with like 25 horsepower motor, outboard motors. You need your GPS up there because you can get lost very easily. And there's no roads. Couldn't drive there to the camp. You had to fly in. Great memories. Worth the expense to do it. That's kind of how it was where I grew up. My parents, like I said, we grew up north of Star Prairie. We had a house there. And, my parents sold that place. And they built a house on a lake near Amory. And our old Star Prairie house, we had quite a bit of acreage there. Yeah, you could definitely just like come out of our shop too and shoot a deer. In fact, my dad has actually done that. So I myself, we had a chipmunk problem one summer. I was either in middle school or high school, just sitting at home, pretty bored, and I would just kind of like pull the window down and I'd shoot these chipmunks out the window from our house. Like in a span of like a day or two, I've probably got like 20 or 30 chipmunks. Kind of reduced the population there. Shot a couple birds that my mom wasn't too happy about. Just with a pellet gun. You know, if you're ever trying to shoot a crow or a big gray squirrel with a pellet gun, try to upgrade to a 22 because it just doesn't have the right enough penetration. It will wound them, and then you gotta shoot them about 5 or 6 times. Lesson learned. know, they say it's bad luck to shoot a crow, but those things are so fucking annoying. You know, honestly, hunting is too much work. I went deer hunting a couple of times when I was younger, and you know, I'd rather just go to a gun range if I wanted to shoot a gun. It's just too much work. Honestly, it's pretty disgusting. If you want to clean a deer, I mean, venison's all right in terms of jerky, or if you want to make some venison steaks, but it doesn't justify the amount of work you have to go through to make it happen. To the end of our passes here, I'll probably have Courseplay do a final lap around here. Make a nice clean pass. And we can get to planting this, I think. Really plant all this shit to corn, right? Corn on corn. You know, with the ever steady increase in oil prices, you'd think that ethanol might be making a comeback to the point where it's practical to actually produce ethanol again. So maybe that will help corn commodity prices. You know, in all honesty, farmers are their worst enemies when it comes to commodity prices, because everyone wants to produce more and more and more to, you know, make more dollars per acre, right? But you know, if everyone took a year off, essentially, you know, the price would just, you know, go through the roof again, and everyone would make easy money. But it's just overproduction. It's an industry that can't regulate itself. rest of the world is catching up with production too. What everyone's really hoping for is a natural disaster will happen in the area that they don't live in. So that will jack prices up. I think the best situation to be in would be the landowner. But good luck trying to buy tillable agriculture land if you don't share the same last name. It's just the way it is these days. You know, you get guaranteed money, you assume no risk, and if one farmer doesn't want to pay your rent, another farmer will certainly pick up the tab. You know, in this region, I think a pretty decent price per acre for cash rents is about $180 an acre. When you actually run the numbers and you look at the average yield in this area, it's very tight. Like you're doing a lot of work and taking on a lot of risk for very little profit at the end of the day. So, it's gotta be tough. The further north you go, the colder it gets. Obviously, the shittier the land is, and you know, lower the yield. But you know, your land rent is also lower. And when you go across the river here into Minnesota, things get real ridiculous. You know, there's land, agricultural land that's selling for $10,000 plus an acre, which is, you can't even buy it. That's like land on water. Even if you were to buy that land, it would take you 20 plus years to even pay for itself, pay it off, until you actually see any kind of revenue. Buy a large piece of equipment like this, you know, you gotta run the acres, no matter what. Yeah, the Red River Valley, that's over by where Able Farms is, right? Sugar beets. You guys do really well over there. Nice and flat. You know, occasionally you'll see the videos on YouTube like, I want to farm, how do I start farming? Well, the answer is simple. Start with a couple $1 million, or, you know, option B is get born into a farming family. You know, either option is, it's basically, at the end of the day, it's, you know, impossible. If you wanted to farm and actually, you know, make money at it. Unless you probably have 10 million in the bank. Well, you know, You can get an egg loan of $1 million with like 1% interest, which is like the cheapest money you can ever borrow. But even at 1% interest, it's still pretty expensive in terms of agriculture because your profit margin's so slim. But when you actually look at government subsidies and which farms receive the most subsidies and who the largest farmers in this nation are, they actually live in New York City. So it's the people that own the land, you know, they're all large corporations. They're not individual farmers. You know, honestly, $1 million is probably pretty. I think that's. I would say you probably need $5 million, and then most of that's going to go to land, or at least a down payment on it. Because if you don't have land, you have nothing. I mean, you need to own it. If you're renting land, you're spinning your wheels. The only person that's coming out ahead is the landowner. And not only do you need to own the land, you need to own land that's next to each other and that's very efficient. And good luck finding that. I think it's pretty easy to be a hobby farmer. Let's say, I mean, I think it's pretty reasonable to find 400 or 500 acres somewhere. You know, you have a full-time job and then you raise a couple variety of crops, you know, corn or beans, you know, on your 400, 500 acres. I think that is very reasonable. But to say, you know, I want to farm full-time, it's not going to happen. If you try to finance the whole thing, you won't pay it off till your kids take it over, essentially. I think if you want to farm, it's better to have a good friend that farms. That way you can kind of like putz on over to their place and play with their equipment. And then you can go home at the end of the day and not have to worry about anything. That would be my advice. What I probably plan on doing is, you know, what I do in my profession is I can afford to buy the land. You know, I can afford to buy the 400 or 500 acres, but I don't have the time to farm it. So what I would probably do is buy the land, rent it out. Just become friends with the guy. Call that baking your cake and eating it too. It's such a good idea to own agriculture land because it costs nothing in taxes to own it, and it's a guaranteed income. And there's no risk. It's just a great idea. You get 5% every year essentially. It takes forever to pay for itself, but that's how you build and protect wealth. Risk adversity. But you don't get to play with the cool toys like this. That's the downside. You know, and then there's the flip side. If you like the big equipment, like I'm sure every kid does growing up, you know, the construction and excavating, even that's such a cutthroat industry because there's such a, you know, if you have money, you can enter that marketplace. There's no barriers. All it takes is capital, and then you're in business, right? But if you ever run a dozer or an excavator, that's some pretty fun shit. There's this guy. I used to work. One of my dad's friends from high school owns a landscaping company, and they're good friends with one of the guy that works for the county. And they were building a road, kind of where we live, and they had a couple, you know, 750J dozers up there. And got a chance to go up there and kind of dick around and run some of the equipment. And, my uncle also works for or he's retired now, but he used to work for the township dresser. So kind of run some of that equipment as well. It's just something about moving dirt, whether it's with a tractor or a piece of equipment. There's something that it's fun for whatever reason. It's such a simple thing, but yeah, we had 100 acres of woods my parents put into conservation. Can't touch it for like, I don't know, what is it, 20 years or something. But you pay essentially nothing in taxes. So you get all the equity when you sell it, but you pay nothing to own it, which is... We didn't use it anyways, other than hunting it. No one really hunts in my family anymore. Alright, I'm going to see if I can set up Courseplay. So we're in field 2. Let's just drop this thing down half meter. We're starting in the southwest. Starting direction, we'll go... I'm not really sure what that means. We'll do 2 headlands first, and then when it's done with headlands, we'll call it a day. Whoops, that's not what I want. Alright, so... Alright, looks like we're starting down here. We'll let Courseplay do our boundary passes because they're so good at that. People will sometimes wonder what kind of Courseplay I'm using, and I use the developer version. It's not GitHub. So this guy's gonna do his headland passes, make this field all nice and pretty. Meanwhile, we gotta finish ripping this. We got this guy. This is a 360R, just a little guy. Oh, he's got the European. I didn't know that. Yeah, it's a developer version of Courseplay on GitHub, so that's, they always kind of make improvements on that kind of on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So we got our Pretty sure that wasn't there when I bought it. Cause I'm pretty sure I had. Here, let me do this. So is this the one that we have, or is this no? So that's the one. We'll reset that. Okay. And then we'll reset our planner too, because why not? Let's just bring it back. Let's reconfigure this bitch. Get rid of these tires. Okay, customize. We want 900. No, we want doubles, triples. We want back in. Yes, yes, yes. There we go. I don't know what happened, but I'm pretty sure this is the configuration I bought first. Spending money. Okay, so this is our planting rig. 370R. You know, in fact, we actually plowed a field over here, so we could actually start with this field. Might as well. Let's start down. So over there in the distance, that's the farm I played on in the last couple of videos way back, 6 months ago, where I stopped playing the game. Now we're playing on a farm way the hell over there that you can't even see. Oh shit, this has no seed in it? Fuck. I have to drive back and fill this thing up with seed and fertilizer. Great. They thought that one through. You know, I would use my seed tender truck, but I'm not. Hold on, before I waste time driving back. What's in this thing? So I actually kind of adjusted this in Blender. This shed is now like 60 some foot by 100 and some foot, so it's quite a bit bigger than the. I think originally it was a 40 by 60. No, that sounds right. Okay, so we got. Okay, we do have seed and fertilizer here. Great. So I'll just drive this over to that field instead of driving the whole trailer back. We'll fill it up. That's not a cement factory. This is the dairy is actually supposed to be the cheese factory. That's kind of up the road further in Dresser. The cement factory actually isn't. I have space for it, but I haven't actually put it in yet. So what you see isn't actually there, but I wanted a dairy, but the dairy's up in Dresser, so kind of. But Alex, you know this. You know this power line, right? Made that custom to the map. That's a custom Osceola map object right there. It's very bizarre. It's like this huge concrete or steel power pole that really isn't holding that much of a wire. There's a farm over here. I think it's a beef farm. I don't know. Haven't driven by there in a while. Couldn't tell you. Still needs to get finished. Why does this thing keep opening up? You see that? The cover kind of like now it's interesting. The cover keeps popping up. I didn't make this trailer either, just downloaded it. There's not dual tracks, there's only one track. I need to fix that. So the cement factory actually goes here. I haven't got around to building it. Our boy. Alright. Holy Yui. If only they made this as a 24-row planter, that would be so great. Alright, so we want to put the pipe out. Filling this thing with seed. At least I thought we were filling all seed, now we're filling all fertilizer. It's like... Would you rather plant with an articulating tractor or a non-articulating tractor? Personally, for game purposes, I'd rather have a non-articulating tractor. It's easier, you have some. Don't have some. So we want the pipe in on this one. We want the pipe out on this one. make sure the pipe is in for the fertilizer. That's my problem. Make sure the pipe is out there. It's weird. Sometimes you kind of have to like back out of the trigger and then back in. Oh man. What if we fold this? It worked with the Seahawk. I don't know why it's not working now. Select seed. We're gonna plant corn. Let's refill. Refill. I have an idea. Let's detach this. I feel like this should work, right? But it's not. Now I have this pile of black shit. Wow, now it works. Wow. I have no idea what to do with that black thing on the ground. Let's get this thing Alright, so that's fiasco stuff. And this is field 15. Use this, this, try this narrow field option. I don't really know what that means. Maybe it says only one headland. And smooth the headland. Let's try it, see what happens. Let's see what this course looks like. Couldn't generate course. Okay. Headland, yeah, let's just do wood. What does that mean? Oh, it's not staying in the field boundary here. No, you can't do that. So you're supposed to. Interesting. So then we go to this guy so we can figure out where we're going to start. Where we start. starting down here. No, that's not what I want. Northeast, we want automatic. German. Oh, weird. It's doing it sideways. Have you ever seen that? Well, I know that's going to be an issue. So if we're going to do it like that, let's change it to manual 270 west. Let's see what that generates. We still have that same issue. It starts way down there. So let's do 2 headlamps. North. Let's start direction 90 degrees east. Let's start east. Many options. Apparently, no matter what I do, we're going to be starting way down here. That guy's going, this guy's doing something, we'll stop him. Pull this guy up, he's done. Nicely chill here. Park this guy and then I'll probably call it a day. I wonder where this guy was driving to. I do like how you can kind of see the tire tracks. That is one nice feature of the game. better track from the inside, not the outside. High organic index soil. Alright guys, calling it a day. Thanks for watching.